Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. We're just going to give everyone a few minutes to show up. It is 1 o'clock Eastern, but people are downloading, doing what they need with Zoom. So it'll just be a minute. Showing there's a couple of people trying to join, so we'll just hang tight for a minute. All right, well, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kevin Langford. I'm the Canadian Channel Manager with SkySwitch. We're proud to have Hanwha, who's helping us out with our Cam Command project in Canada with the distribution side of the fence. Justin, my colleague in the United States, he is the know-it-all for Cam Command, but we need the equipment, we need the cameras, and Dominique from Hanwha, who's based out of Montreal, if I'm not mistaken, is on the line with us. And we'd love to show you what's going on with Cam Command. We're going to show you what's going on with Hanwha, distribution points and all that stuff, and how we can help you and your customers make more money. So without further ado, I will let Justin take it off from here, and then we'll take it off from there. Thank you.
Much appreciated, Kevin. So to jump into it, the SkySwitch white label video surveillance as a service solution, better known as Cam Command. So just kind of getting into it, the demand. So what is the demand here? What we found from our resellers is that there's an honest demand for an easy to implement and use video surveillance solution. And Cam Command definitely meets both of those demands. With plug and play cameras, connection can be a snap, no additional hardware, no fussing with your client's network, simply install a camera, give it internet access, and that's it. Now, in terms of usability, you'll be hard pressed to find a more simpler to administer solution for both the reseller as well as the end user. And those are just a couple of the many advantages of using a cloud-based video surveillance solution such as Cam Command. Now with Cam Command, we offer a multitude of features that can be leveraged. So we offer the ability to record and live view camera footage as well as receive actionable alerts from anywhere in the world with an internet connection. Now, let's further expand on the features and advantages of Cam Command. So instant access. Coming back to accessibility, end users have the ability to access their accounts via both a brandable web browser and mobile application interface, giving them easy and instant access when they need it. Now, considering scalability, Cam Command provides end users the ability to grow as and when needed without the need to consider future growth or add any additional storage hardware. Simply connect more cameras as needed. There are absolutely zero limits to the number of cameras that can be connected to a single account, regardless of where they're located. What we provide is a single access point to view live and recorded camera footage from infinite locations. Furthermore, Cam Command is more than just a video storage solution. With event notifications, it could also be considered a security solution. Using camera analytics such as motion detection, it can view and alert end users if something unexpectedly is occurring. Alerts can be received by email or push notification, both providing a quick look at what is happening, giving the end user the ability to act or ignore. Alerts via email provide a preview image of what triggered the event, while push notifications, when clicked, will launch the Cam Command mobile application and bring the user directly to the point in time within their timeline when the event occurred for immediate viewing. Now, coming back to implementation, it's incredibly easy to add a camera to Cam Command, especially if you're using a plug-and-play device. Now, I highly suggest using a plug-and-play device as it not only saves time deploying in the field, but it also prevents headaches down the road by having to monitor and maintain end-user networks, as would be necessary for standard connections. So, while on the topic of connection, there are two basic methods that are available on the Cam Command platform. Plug and play. It's just that. We offer plug and play capability with a number of popular camera manufacturers, Hanwha being our flagship. With Hanwha, not only do you get plug and play capability, you also get a gold mine, a literal gold mine of analytical features that can be used to completely customize how end users are alerted and when. With other manufacturers, you'll typically only get motion detection, but with Hanwha, you'll have access to up to 8 separate motion regions, multiple audio detection features, face, fog, tamper, intrusion, entry and exit, defocus detection, and much more. They truly offer all of the bells and whistles wrapped in an ultra high quality package. Now, with all plug-and-play cameras, you connect simply by entering the device's serial number and or MAC address. No fussing with the client's firewall, no poking holes in the network. It's just that easy, beep, boop, you're done. But if you happen to have a client with existing non-plug-and-play devices, or maybe you're already married to a particular brand there's not plug-and-play, we do offer a standard method of connection. Any camera that supports H.264 encoding and FTP is able to connect to CAM command via port forwarding. Simply assign the device a port number, input the network's public IP or maybe DDNS address, and use our connection wizard to get the device connected. But all in all, again, I definitely suggest to just stick with a plug-and-play device, as it's going to save the most time in the field and completely removes you from having to manage and potentially troubleshoot an end user's network. So now I suppose it's time to hand it off to Dominique so that he can tell us all about those cool bells and whistles that Hanwha cameras are capable of. Dominique?
Thank you, Justin. Good afternoon, everybody. Let me just share my screen here. Share, then go to the presentation. There we go. Full screen. All right. Everybody can see my screen? All good?
Yep, we're good.
All right, just to give you a bit of a history, who's Hanwha? A lot of people are saying, okay, Hanwha was Chinese. Where they're from. First off, Hanwha is a Korean company, South Korea to be exact. Founded in 1952, so very old company that has grown a lot since 1952. As you can see, we're on a global 500 of the top companies with best revenue in the world. Revenue right now is close to $62 billion worldwide. The 8th largest, biggest company in Korea. A lot of different verticals that we touch, a lot of network, a lot of different diversity in the company itself. As you can see with the photos here, we do a lot of stuff. Hanwha as a whole has many divisions. You've got the military division. As you can see, we can do tanks, we can do robots, we can do missiles and all that. We have a big division that is called aerospace. In aerospace, you will find Hanwha TechWin part of the aerospace division. So aerospace is a division that will do plane motors and jets for companies like Pratt & Whitney and GE and so on. They got a lot of other divisions like chemical and other low material. Solar panel is a very big division also of Hanwha. We're the second biggest manufacturer of solar panel in the world. And you're probably using Hanwha product every day because, as you can see from the left bottom image, we do a lot of primary products that is used for plastics and rubbers and so on. So a bunch of parts in your car are probably Hanwha products already. They've got a leisure division. They've got Club Med, as you can see with that nice resort right there. They've got a baseball team, and we do all the video surveillance camera products. Back in December 2014, Hanwha wanted to have a bigger portfolio in a security division, so they decided to buy Samsung. As you know, Samsung also has many divisions. It's got TVs, the microwave, the phones, and so on. Hanwha bought the military and security division of Samsung. So it gives you right there a big idea how huge Hanwha is. The bottom right picture is our big manufacturing plant in Vietnam. 90% of the product imported in North America, so Canada, US, are made out of that Vietnam facility. As you can see on the slide and on top of the building, all these solar panels? Well, yes, we're using our solar panel. 95% of that plant is solely powered by solar panels. So very big. Kevin and Justin briefly talked about the channel that we have for you guys. So Hanwha, we don't sell to the end user. We don't sell direct to any company. We only sell to our partners, and we only sell to our partners through a distribution channel. Across Canada, brick and mortar, ADI, and Annexer, they have offices in all provinces. Scansource is also another distributor that we have. They do not have a warehouse in Canada, but they will offer you the same discount, and it will ship from their US warehouses, right? So you sign up as a partner to be an authorized partner. It doesn't cost anything. You don't have any targets to meet. So if you buy 1 camera this week or 300 cameras next week, doesn't matter. You still have the same privileges as discount. We can also do project discount if you have a big project that you have, I don't know, a retail store chain that you want to do, and it's like 2 or 3 cameras per store chains, but you have 30 stores to do. We could give you pricing for that as well. All right. So this is the way that we go to market with our product. Hanwha has many different lines of products. Okay. This is the main line. So the HD Plus is the HD over coax, L, Q, X, P, and T series. The cameras that are working with the cam command are the ones with the stars, the L, the Q, the X, and the P's. Those are the main ones that you're going to use. And I'm going to go in the next slide, tell you why you should go with L, why you should go with Q, why you should go with X and P, right? So depending on what you need or what your customer's needs as features, that will align you to one of these product lines. Okay. Let's start off with the least expensive line that we have that will work on Can Command is the Light series, so the L series. In L series, there are really 3 major group of camera. You've got the indoor domes, you've got the outdoor domes that are Vandal, and you've got the Bullet. So the Bullet is like a Vandal dome, it's just in a different form factor, right? All these cameras, all 2 megapixel resolution. They will do H.264 and MJPEG as communication format. They will do up to 30 frames per second. They've got a nice wide dynamic range, 120 dB. So wide dynamic range, that means if you have, let's say, I don't know, a garage door and you get the cameras inside and looking outside, and every time that garage door opens, well, you want to be able to see, yes, outside, but be able to see the face of the people coming in. So having a good WDR will help you have those different light the contrast, be able to see it, still the face of the people and still see the outside. So we have that in all cameras. All these cameras, they do the hallway view mode. So instead of having a 16:9 view, if you're looking at a hallway, you can change that view by 93. So you're seeing the full length of the hallway instead of just looking at the walls on each side, right? So these cameras can do that. They have motion detection, they have tempering detection. They do not have analytics. Okay, so you're talking about a Light series, less feature, less expensive, so meaning a little less feature inside the camera, right? But they do have an SD card slot, so if you want to record as a backup on the camera itself, you can put up to a 32 gig SD card inside that camera. And these cameras are powered fuel. Okay. Any questions on the L series? Very simple, very basic. So application for that, residential, small corner store, something like that. It wants to have video cameras, doesn't want to spend too much money, but still wants to have some surveillance. This is a great product to use. Okay. Now we go up in the series. We go to the Q series, the quality series. As you can see in the quality series, you got a little more versatility in there. You've got Yes, you still have the indoor domes, the Vandal outdoor domes, the Bullet, but you've got more form factors. So you've got in the indoor domes, you've got the compact little cameras that you can use. The Vandal home, you have also the flat compact cameras. You've got the flat eye, is a different way of seeing the dome. And then in the Q series, we introduced now fisheye cameras. So that's a nice way to have a 360 view inside your store or inside the liquor cabinet, whatever, of a store. And you have a 360 view, and you'll be able to de-warp that view. So instead of seeing the 360, you could be looking at a quad or a panoramic view of the image. That's what we call de-warping. So the fisheye comes in different flavors, 6 and 12 megapixel. We also have some PTZ cameras inside the Q series, 2 megapixel with 23x zoom on it, some with IR, as you can see with one of the pictures there. This one right here with infrared illuminator. And as you can see, more options. Now you can have the options of going with 2 megapixel, or you could go higher in resolution and go with 5 megapixel in all these series. All right. If we look at a bit of the features that you see at the bottom right, yes, we have the different resolution, but we also have, oh, a little typo there. We also have H.265 codec, so better compression, less bandwidth, less storage that will take with these cameras. They'll always have the 30 frames per second, 120 dB with wide dynamic range, the view mode. Yes, it does have motion detection and temper like the L series, but now you have a bit of analytics inside these cameras. So you've got something like a line crossing or intrusion, entry, exit detection. So what you can do is inside your image, when you're looking at your picture, let's say you have an entrance of a driveway, you could draw a line in that camera into the programming and say, okay, and every time there's a car that crosses that line that comes inside the premises, I want you to alert me. So send me an event, send me a snapshot, and tell me that there's a car that came in, so I can go back and look what's going on. If the car coming in at 3 in the morning, shouldn't be a car there at 3 in the morning. I want to be advised if something happens like that. And all these analytics can be always on or on a schedule. So this is all programmable inside the cameras. Very cool. It does have SDSD card, but as you can see, we go from 32 gig that was in the L series. Now we bump it up to 128 gig into the Q series. All right. And some model can be PoE and 12-volt power. Okay, so you have a backup power on these cameras as well. Okay. So that's the Q series. A lot of stuff there, and I'll briefly go on the website after that and show you where to get the information on all these products. Okay. We're still going up. Now we go into the X series, what we call the Excellent series. Okay. Again, as you can see from the right side, we got again more resolution. We got 2, we got 5, we got 6 megapixel now. We got 8 megapixel that is 4K and 12 megapixel onto one sensor. So a lot of options. Still see all the options in the indoor dome, outdoor dome, the Bullet. We have fisheyes as well. We now have box cam in there. So if you got applications that the guy has to have a special optic on it, or you have to zoom in to a certain area, instead of wiring a camera, let's say to the entrance, you could have a camera box cam with a zoom on it and be able to zoom into that area. All right, so you could use a box cam with that. We also have a zoom box camera. So a zoom box is basically a 2 megapixel with a 30x zoom that we use into a PTZ. It's just mounted on a still camera. So for those areas that you really need to look far to look at something. So I've done an application that people were looking at 300 feet away at an entrance of a parking lot to be able to read the license plate. So that's what the application was for that camera. We've got lots of PTZs in there. Got 2 megapixel, 6 megapixel, and 4K camera in the PTZ models. Regular PTZ, PTZ with IR, or PTZ with IR and wiper, like the picture that we have here. So a lot of very varied in there. Smaller PTZs for indoor application. Small little store, you want to put a PTZ in the corner. That's very good. We have that. And we have a lot of covert camera that could be used for either banks or offices and stuff like that. Retail that doesn't want to have too much intrusion, but still wants to have a camera in there. So we got all that. And as you can see, as we go up in the series, there's lots and lots of features that are being added. So yes, you're paying a little more for the camera, but you've got a lot for that extra money that you're putting in, right? It all depends on what the application is, what your customer wants to do with the camera, and then we go and choose the right camera for this application, right? Things that you can see, most of the information that you will see there in the X series, all analytics features that we add to the camera. So we have things like face detection or body detection. We've got defog detection, audio detection. The PTZs can do auto tracking, so it will follow and then somebody that comes to the premises or on into the restricted area. We've got audio bi-directional on these cameras. We've got inputs and outputs. So if you want to be able to trigger a message, for example, you've got a car dealership that after hours somebody comes to the premises, you will detect with a light crossing, and then the output of camera or the audio output of camera can start a pre-recorded message that is on the camera, and we'll send that to a speaker saying, we are presently closed, you are being filmed, come back tomorrow if you need pricing, something like that, right? So lots of features that you can do with the X series. Last but not least is the P series. So what we have in the P series is multi-directional cameras that I'm not talking about today because right now we're not doing that on the Camp Lab, but the other ones are the 4K cameras. These 4K cameras comes in all kinds of different formats. You can see indoor, outdoor, bullets, box cam, recessed cameras, and they're have a feature that is called AI, so artificial intelligence. So these camera will be able to not only detect a person, but differentiate a person from a car, and will be able to send metadata as well with the video. And you'd be able to do a search of metadata like, okay, what's the color of, I'm looking for a person that's got a yellow jacket and black pants. Then that's the metadata that you can do a search with these cameras. So again, more features, more functionality, a little higher in price as well. Okay. This is I was just talking about. So some of the metadata that we do, we can say that, okay, is it a male or female, age group, if it's a child, if it's an adult, if it's a senior citizen, is he wearing a hat, is he wearing glasses, color of the top and the bottom, does he have a bag, this sort of thing that we can send as metadata. Same thing with the cars. It won't tell right now the model, but at least it will tell you if it's a car, if it's a truck, if it's a bus, if it's a bicycle, if it's a motorcycle, what's the color of the vehicle. Okay. This is my info, d.boucher@hanwha.com, 438-399-9507. You can reach me on that, email, text, phone, no problem. This is our website. So I'm going to show you real quickly the website. What's cool about our website is very well made, very simple to navigate, very simple to find the information on the product. Most of the cameras, all the cameras you will find into the product. So if you go to the product section into security cameras, all the cameras are in group like we just saw in the presentation. So if I'm looking for, let's say, the Q series, I will look at all these boxes and find WiseNet Q series. If you go into WiseNet Q series, you will find all the different cameras available for the Q series. All right. So as I mentioned earlier, Q series have 5 megapixel. It's got 2 megapixels. So if I scroll a bit down, you will see 2 megapixel. And any of these cameras that you go into for information, everything's there. You don't need a password. You don't need to register to get the information. You don't need to, you want to download a specification page or a manual, you won't have to put in your name, phone number, or email address and all that. that blah blah there. So if you're looking for a spec sheet of, for example, this QNV 6082R, that 2 megapixel outdoor vandal, we're just going to scroll down to specification, click download, and boom, you get the specification that's going to come up to your screen. All right, that you can print, you can save, do whatever you want with it, and you'll find all the information on that spec sheet, all the features, all the key features, the dimension, all the accessories that's available to install these cameras. Most of our cameras are surface mounted. If you want to go wall mount or parapet or ceiling, drop ceiling or something like that, get all the different accessories. It will show you all the specification of the cameras. If it's got a varifocal lens, it will tell you if that lens is motorized or it's manual, what's the focus, what's the angle horizontal that you're going to get with that lens. All the cool features, power consumption, everything's up. Okay. If you know exactly the part number that you're looking for, there's the little magnifying glass on the top right. If you click on the manufacturing glass and in the box, and you type, for example, LND 6012R, enter, it's going to bring you directly to that page where that camera is. Okay, so that's another way to navigate inside our website. Cool. Like we mentioned, all the cameras, they all work on the command, the cam command. It's very simple to use. We've got QR codes. You just scan the QR code and it will help you load the camera inside the system. It's very, very straightforward, very easy to do, right? And you've got tech support that command that can help you that if you need any question on that. That's about what I have right now, unless anybody have any questions for me on our products.
There's two that came in. You might just want to reiterate back to your second slide of distribution.
Okay.
Got someone asking, how is it ordered? How do they get an account set up? Can they buy directly from you, or does it have to be through a distributor? And how do they get the pricing?
All right. So everything, like I said, is bought through distribution. This is not my dog. My dog's asleep right now. All right. So distribution, like I said, ADI or Annexter, you can buy from both of them or one or the other, doesn't really matter. You just connect to these two distributors. If you need information on the person to reach at distribution in your area, just send me a quick email and I'll send you somebody's name and phone number and email, who to connect to open an account. They will give you credit information, so you have a line of credit to buy the products, the Hanwha products directly there. To be a partner with Hanwha, what you need to do is to go to our website. So let me just go to our website again. There we go. We have this section that is called the partner portal. You will connect on partner portal. You will say enroll. A few seconds. Enroll again. Then country. You select your country, Canada. Continue. Accept. And then it's going to start by asking you first an email confirmation. So you will enter your email twice, confirm, you will receive the confirm email. And then from that, you'll be able to put in all your information, your company name, your address and all that. And usually within 24, 48 hours, you will get a confirmation that you are now a partner. It will ask you in that partner registration which distributor you want to work with, if it's ADI, if it's Annexter, if it's both, doesn't really matter. It will ask you who's your contact. And what's going to happen is I will receive an email that you are now an authorized partner, and the distributor will also receive an email that you are a Hanwha partner. All right. I will be able to send you the full price list of Hanwha. To be an authorized partner, you'll have 49% off the MSRP. And that's the pricing that will be in the computer at the distributor, either Annexter or ADI. Pricing that I will send to you will be the same thing as they will send to you, and they will give to you. All right. Hope I answered the question correctly. And what's the next one?
ADI asks to verify that we are a certified registered installer. Can we still become a reseller?
Yes, there is a certification that you can do. Let me go back again to the website. Okay, so in this section training, there is certification in earning webinars. So what's cool about Hanwha is you can always learn more about a product and learn more about how to install a product. To buy our cameras at distribution, you do not need to be a certified technician. Okay, you just need to be a security installer, and you'll be able to buy a distribution. Okay, distribution will not sell to end users. All right, so your local store cannot call Annexter or ADI and ask to buy a couple of Hanwha cameras. They won't sell to them. Okay, they will only sell to security installers like you. Okay, going back to the training, there's a bunch of webinars that are pre-recorded, and some there's no dates right now, but these are all the pre-recorded webinars. You can look at PowerPoint or just watch at the webinar. Usually the webinar is about 40 minutes to an hour. So that's a nice way to learn. There's also the e-learning that you can go there. You register to the e-learning, doesn't cost anything. You just fill out the information. In the next 24 hours, you will get a confirmation with your email and a password to get in there, and you'll be able to start learning about our products. Okay, so it's a kind of what I would say like some little flash video. So it's a PowerPoint with a narrator there that will talk through the little presentation. There's no exam at the end. It's just learning on your own. These little flash presentation goes from 10 to 30 minutes each. So there's a lot of stuff that you can learn either on the sales side, so learn more about the products, or on the technical side of the products. Okay. Last but not least is the certification. So we do offer certification for our partner. One good side I would say about COVID is, since we're not able to send trainers across Canada, we have now a virtual WiseNet certification that you can do. So the WiseNet professional certification, a virtual way. You register there. Yes, there is a fee because we have trainers that are being paid to do this. So there are classes. I just click here to get started. These are the classes that are scheduled right now. So as you can see, there's different dates. This class, when we're doing with the training on site, it was a 2.5-day training, so very long training. What they've done is, since we're not unpacking stuff and things like cameras and boxes and NVRs and stuff, you're doing the training with a computer with our virtual lab in the US. So what you need is a laptop with 2 screens, because you have one screen that you're looking programming, you have a one screen that's looking at the teacher and the slides that he's showing. It's a 3 times 3 hour session. So that's what you see here: session 1, session 3, session 2, and 3. And this will give you a certificate. There's an exam at the end, and you get a certificate, and that certificate is valid for 3 years. All right. But again, you don't need to be certified to buy Hanwha cameras. As soon as you have an account at ADI or Annexter, you can buy our products. You can start installing our products. You can call our tech support. No fee there. Get a 24-hour. It's not 24-hour, but I would say it's from 7 a.m. Eastern time until 10 p.m. Eastern time, something like that. But you can call our tech support and have support, even though you're not a registered, certified technician. That answers the question. Hello?
Yeah, that does. Thank you.
If you have any more questions you think after this presentation is over, just send me an email, d.bougie, So d.bougie@hanwha.com. I'd be more than happy to answer all the questions.
All right, Justin.
Okay, let's share my screen here. All right, so we've talked about all the cool bells and whistles for the Hanwha devices. We've also talked about what the capability of Cam Command can do. So let's just go ahead and jump into this. I'm going to give a brief kind of overview of what resellers will look at in terms of managing their clients and the cameras that are associated with them, as well as the end user interfaces as well. So if you're familiar with the SkySwitch platform on your dashboard, if you sign up for Cam Command, you will have the managed cameras portion here. So this is going to be basically how you would figure your managed PBXs. This is going to be where all of your clients are going to live, as well as the ability to add cameras for those clients. So just a brief overview of the admin portal. So you're going to have manage accounts, which is essentially just that. All of your separate accounts here for your end users. You're going to have manage cameras, which is going to give you an overview of all of the cameras that are associated with the entirety of the manage accounts portion. So this just gives you kind of a brief overview of the cameras, maybe their status, as well as how they were connected. Maybe if they're offline, you want to test the connection, you have some tools here to help you with that as well. So outside of that, you're going to have managed groups. Not going to click on that. We'll get into that here in a moment. Billing history, just a brief summary of who's subscribing to what, and then your admin stuff here. Your basic contact information that's going to be provided on your brandable portal, as well as all of your branding is also going to live here as well. So let's go back to manage accounts. So adding a user or creating an account for a user is super simple. Actually, the entire interface is incredibly easy to use, which is one of the primary benefits of Cam Command. So creating an account is just that. Give it a name, whether it's going to be a client or business name. Give them a username to log into their own account with, a password. Generally say stick with the general password so that maybe you could have access to it while you're setting up the cameras. And obviously their email address that they'll be able to log in with, retrieve their forgotten password, or if they ever need to change that, they can do so here as well. Now, the plans, we offer a multitude of plans here. So we have from 4 hours to 90 days that are shown here. Now, if for any reason somebody needed more than 90 days, that is something that Cam Command can implement for those on a case-by-case basis. Just create a technical support ticket and we'll get that settled for you along with pricing. Now, 4 hours, this is typically used for, say, demo purposes, or maybe folks that do not want 24/7 recording. So with Cam Command, you're going to have two options, either a motion or event-based type of recording, to where when an event is triggered, typically it's going to be motion. At that point, you'll begin to record for anywhere between 5 to 30 seconds, and you'll just end up with these little clips in your timeline based on those events. Otherwise, for business level users, they can use the 24/7 recording, where it's recording constantly as long as that camera's online. So again, we have the 4 hour, 7 day retention, 14 day, 30 day, 60 day, 90 day. So one thing to note here is that the plans that are assigned are going to be assigned to all of the cameras. So in the supported cameras field, this is essentially going to be the number of cameras that you want to add to the account. At any point in time, you can go into that account later and bump this up or bump it down if you need to. But one thing worth noting is that you cannot mix and match plans. So each of these 5 supported cameras would have essentially 7 day retention plans, meaning that the 7 days of which they're recording, they're going to retain that footage. On the 8th day, it's going to begin overriding that first day worth of recording. So you're always going to have 7 days worth of recording there for you. Okay, so besides adding a user, we'll jump into let's go back to the sales account here. I've got a couple more cameras that we can peek at. Okay, so once you create an account, you're going to have just a basic overview, their name, their username, their email, all that good stuff, as well as the cameras associated with it. So adding a camera can be just as simple as adding a user. So you're going to have a couple of options here, as I mentioned previously, in terms of connection. Either a plug-and-play device, which is going to be Amcrest, Axis, Hanwha TechWin. Some versions of Hikvision are becoming plug-and-play, as well as Spico. Now, if you're working with a plug-and-play camera, it is going to be a very simple process. We're just going to jump in here and enter in the serial number that is associated and printed on the camera itself or the documentation, as well as the camera MAC address that is also probably going to be associated with that documentation. Once you've entered those 2 items, you're just simply going to enter the credentials for the camera. And then at that point, you'll just skip to the next portion and go to the actual camera settings once you've connected to it. Now, your other option for connection is going to be that either generic H.264, or maybe ignore this because I know that this is going to be legacy here. We're going to get rid of the MJPEG pretty shortly, but let's focus on the H.264. So this is going to be just the standard port forwarding, also just as simple. So we're going to give you a list of some of the more popular brands or some of the more used brands here. All you're doing when you're selecting a camera model is going to be automatically inputting or making it more quickly to look for the actual RTSP address for the ending of the camera. And I can give you an idea of that here in a moment. So for this case, let's just say it's not any of those cameras listed there. We want to connect via port forwarding. So what are we going to do here? We're going to put in the username and password for the camera, credentials, the external IP address for the network that the camera is associated with, and then the RTSP port that's been assigned to it. Now the RTSP path, when you have this /1, this could take anywhere between, I'd say, 2 to 5 minutes. It's what this is going to do when it's generic or not one of those selectable brands, is going to go through our gigantic database of possible RTSP paths, try them all, and at that point, try to connect the camera. Although, if you happen to know, there are plenty of databases online that have printed history of possible RTSP paths that you can also input into here. But essentially, once you've input the necessary information, it's going to bring you back to that settings page to where then you can connect the camera to the account. Now, the settings page is going to look exactly like what you see here. Well, not exactly like that one. Let's go to one that's online, basement. So that settings page is going to look just like this. You're going to be able to give the camera a name or edit the name. You're going to be able to select the recording type, whether that's going to be the 24/7 recording or based on event triggers. Again, whether that's motion, or if you have a Hanwha device, you'll have the capability for all of those advanced analytics, whether it's going to be line crossing, entry and exit, all that good stuff. You'll be able to choose from here as well. So for this case, we'll just keep it at continuous recording, event triggers. Now, what exactly do we want to be alerted by? So event triggers are just that, the notifications. So in this case, it's set to motion detection. So at any point in time there's motion detected in the set area, you will receive either an email, or if you have the mobile application, a push notification if it is activated. You do also have the capability of just simply turning off event triggers to where you're not getting any type of notification. All right, event trigger schedule. We'll get into that here once we jump into the end user side, but essentially you can set up a camera to only send you notifications during a certain period of time. That way, say if you've installed a camera for a very busy warehouse, you're not being bothered all day by forklifts and whatnot on that warehouse camera, but after hours, it would be abnormal for there to be any type of motion in that facility. So say from 5 p.m. until 9 a.m. the next morning, you want to be able to receive alerts and not be bothered during the day by those alerts. You can set up an event schedule, but I'll give you a visual on that here in a moment. So for resolution, you'll have quite a few options for resolution based on the camera that you have connected. Currently, the top for just the standard resolutions is going to be 4 megapixels. So if you have a camera that's 4 megapixels, you'll be able to select that resolution. Typically, you can get away with just the 1080p. If you're after anything more advanced than that, obviously you can bump it up to whether that's going to be a 3 or 2 or 4 megapixel camera, you can do so. We do also offer 4K capability for whatever reason that somebody may need that. That will also be a case-by-case basis. If you do need 4K, just contact our support team and we'll be able to get that priced and activated for you as well. All right, so sensitivity, this is going to be based on that motion detection. We'll jump into that as well in the end user interface. So I'm going to kind of skip that for now. Image appearance, this just gives you that ability to say you've installed a sensor upside down or you've had to mount it on its side. This does give you that ability that you'd have in the normal camera GUI just to kind of flip the sensor, flip how you're seeing the image. On-screen display, this is going to be the time and date that's displayed on the camera. And then the notifications, you can here check which notifications you actually want to receive. So in this case, you'll have 2. So motion detection as well as camera health check. So what camera health check is that every 15 minutes, the cam command is going to ping that camera and just ensure that it is online. If it's not, it's basically going to go through a really quick test and try and determine why it's not online. Say if you have a port forwarded camera, and for some reason the router rebooted and you lost your port forwarding settings, the notification here for camera health check would send you an email or a push notification and let you know that, hey, this camera is offline and it's most likely due to the port forwarding. It's no longer being able to connect to that device. Okay, so moving on. Other than the basic camera information here, what you'll have also is admin alerts. Now, this is something that can also be maybe leveraged in terms of an add-on for when you're selling the cam command solution. So admin alerts are just that. when they're activated, they're going to send the admin or the person that's been set up in the admin profile. You can have multiple alerts by email that, hey, you have a client's camera offline. Maybe go check it out. At that time that you have a camera offline, what you can do is say, hey, what's going on here? Come into your managed cameras. Let's try and find that camera that's offline, and let's go ahead and just test that connection. Let's see what's up with that device, see if we can't figure out what's going on here. Fortunately for us, all of these cameras are online, but if it happened to be offline again, it would give you that notification that, hey, is it the credentials that are wrong? Maybe the camera was restored to factory settings, or hey, maybe the port forwarding is no longer good. Just kind of give you an idea. All right, now what that gives you the capability of doing is saying, hey, I'm not only gonna sell you a camera and the retention service as well as the alerts, but I'm also going to maintain your camera. So if at any point you see a client's camera's offline, you can easily and quickly give them a call and say, hey, I see that this camera's offline. Let's go ahead and schedule a service call and figure out what's going on here. All right, so that's pretty much it for the cameras. Moving into the groups. So what groups are just that. They're a way to group all of your cameras or certain cameras into a specific type of group. So say you have a client that has multiple locations, say they own a franchise. So what they can do is actually group their cameras based on maybe that location so that they can share it with another guest user, maybe a particular manager for that location, or maybe they want to group it and just group all the cameras that cover the cash register together. They can do so. Now, what the grouping does is it makes life so much easier within the end user platform because you can actually view the cameras based on the group, where you're not seeing everything and having to scroll through, 10, 20, 30 cameras. You're actually just able to filter to the group, look at all those cameras, and at that point, pinpoint what you're after. Now, groups are also going to be associated with users. So there is no limits whatsoever in terms of groups or users. You can add as many guest users as you'd like. Now, how this happens is just as simple as adding a user, inputting their email address, they're giving them a name, and then assigning them as many groups. You can choose as many as you'd like that they have access to. Now, once you send this off or you save this, what this is going to do is send an email to the actual guest user and give them the ability to essentially create their own Cam Command account to where they only have access to the groups of cameras or maybe the camera that you have given them permission to actually view. Very cool feature. Also have the ability to give them access to pan tilt zoom. This kind of bothers me sometimes because not all cameras have the return to home feature. So if somebody happened to mess around with the pan tilt zoom and they didn't return it to home, you could potentially miss out on some action there. So I would suggest to maybe avoid the pan tilt zoom unless you really trust the person that you're inviting. So besides this, the end user will also have access to invite, delete, share the types of cameras or the groups of cameras that they would like to with their guests as well. Now, NAS storage. So there's essentially 3 different types of integration with, say, a local storage, whether that's going to be an actual VMS, a hard drive that's sitting on your network. Maybe, you have an SD card installed in the camera as well. We can integrate directly with those in a multitude of different ways. So the first way is essentially just a kind of dual way to where you have the camera connected to Cam Command and the camera connected to, say, an SD card, or it's also backing up to that SD card for storage. Totally possible. You can also do so with a NAS device. So it's essentially a redundant solution. The second way is that you can actually set up a NAS here to where each time that an event occurs, it's sending that event, that little clip, to a NAS device. Again, whether it's going to be an SD card or an actual hard drive sitting on the network, you can actually forward it to that. I would assume that you could also do so with, like, say, a Dropbox feature. As long as you had the correct path here, you could also store it online, although that would be somewhat redundant. The third way that you can integrate with NAS devices is essentially have that NAS device or that SD card, that local storage, backing up as well. So say maybe you want to save a little bit of money, or think you want to save a little bit of money, and you have only the 7-day retention on CamCloud, and then have a local device that's storing, say, maybe 15 to 30 days worth of footage directly on the hard drive. What you can do with Axis, and again, Hanwha, they fully support the integration to where you can actually pull that video footage from the local storage device and actually play it back directly on Cam Command. So you got a couple different flavors there in terms of NAS integration. So that's pretty much it for the accounts and adding cameras. If there's any questions, definitely put them in the Q&A or chat, and we'll get to those here in a moment. But otherwise, I'll jump over into what the end user interface looks like. So again, you're going to have a couple options here. It's going to be also fully brandable for you. So you'll have the web interface, which we're looking at here now, as well as the mobile interface, which we'll take a peek at here in a moment. In terms of differences between the two interfaces, there is little to none. The only major difference between the web portal interface and the mobile application is that when you're creating downloadable clips, these here are limited to 1 hour in length. And just because we don't want to eat up everybody's storage on their phone or mobile device, on the mobile application, you are limited to 2-minute clips. So that's going to be your primary difference there. Everything else should essentially be the same. Okay, so after a user logs into their portal here on the web interface, they're going to see this. They're going to see their camera panes in which they can resize, move around, however they see fit, whatever makes most sense to them, just have full capability to kind of customize this to what they're used to or what they like. So besides the actual viewing panes, which we'll get back to here in a moment to go over the analytic portion, they will also have a timeline. So within the timeline here, they're going to have a couple things going on. They're going to have all their filtering, whether that's going to be by groups, by day or time that they choose, as well as by, say, analytic type of events, whether that's going to be motion. Say, I only want to see motion events here on my timeline. You can see these little dark blue clips. Those are going to show up. Those are going to be the events. For now, we'll just go ahead and select all, close that, as well as the ability to filter by, again, whether it's going to be cloud or say they've integrated a NAS or SD card, whether, again, that's going to be a Hanwha access device to actually play back. We don't have that set up right now, so we'll just kind of skip over that here. But in terms of viewability, what they'll have access to is this timeline here. So this is going to display, hey, I've recorded for this entire period of time. This light blue, this is just saying, hey, I've recorded here. At any point in time, you can go ahead and just click at the point in time that you'd like to visit, as well as use these back and forward buttons that are going to skip through any events that have occurred. Just give you kind of a fast forward through those. Let's go ahead and skip down here. And as you can see, it goes between the events here in one fell swoop there. We also have the 15-second fast forwards, just in case you're looking for something that didn't happen to trigger an event. Now, also on the timeline, you will have the events as I mentioned. Now, hovering over each event is going to give you kind of a preview of what triggered it. So you can see there's some motion here in the background, that tree blowing in the breeze. That seems to have triggered the, as it shows here, motion event. So you'll have a couple different ways to download this. You can either download the event directly here, which is going to just simply download the small clip, as well as have the ability to come over here to the camera settings, choose download, and this is going to give you a little scrollable download pane to where you can actually move this around, select what you want, and then go ahead and download it. Now, upon downloading it, it's going to toss it back into your user profile, which we'll take a peek at here in a second. There is a hot link back to it here as well, but we'll skip over that here. And let's do this here. So within the timeline, besides the actual recorded events and the marked events, you'll have a couple other options here, whether that's going to be to edit the camera settings, which we looked at previously here in the reseller portal, which is going to be exactly the same. You'll also have the ability to create a time lapse. This is also going to be legacy. This is going to be replaced by our fast forward feature, which we're still working on here. But time lapse essentially is a way to mark a period, give you that little download box, and then speed it up a bit, whether that's going to be 2 times, 4 times, whatnot, just so you can get kind of a better idea of what happened if something maybe didn't trigger an event, but maybe you notice, hey, my truck's missing. And I'm not really sure when it happened. I know it happened between this hour and that hour. So let's go ahead and just create a time lapse and speed through it just so we can get a better idea. Okay, other than that, you can also integrate the edge storage. This is just the end user's look at whether that's going to be SD card or a NAS integration to where they can also set this up to send those events over to the NAS device or the local hard drive. All right, all very simple stuff here. Very easy to navigate, very easy to access. Again, you can add multiple cameras from multiple locations. You know, just for instance, again, of say you have a client that is a reseller or a franchise owner, and they have multiple locations. Rather than having to purchase that local storage, those NVRs, DVRs, an actual VMS system, what they're doing is avoiding all that upfront cost of all that hardware. And all they need is just that camera and that internet access. Once they have that, they can essentially connect it to any account. Again, no limits, no extra costs for extra cameras. It's just going to be entirely based on the retention plan for the end user. All right. So besides the timeline, we're going to have a couple other options here. So honestly, the upgrade, the schedules, and the settings are all going to go to the same page. End users do have the ability to add cameras if they wish, if they have the ability to. If they have an open seat, they can do so. Very rare that I ever see or hear of an end user adding their own camera, as well as the ability to turn events off momentarily. If you need a break, you want to just turn them off in one fell swoop, you can do so here as well. So let's just jump into, we'll go to schedules again. It's going to jump into the same main profile. So we'll go top to bottom here. Notifications. So rather than give somebody access to the actual visuals or the cameras themselves, you can also set up multiple emails for notifications. So again, with email notifications, you're going to get that little image preview of what triggered it. So maybe you want to, have somebody have the notifications, but you don't want to necessarily give them access to the live view. You can just go ahead and add as many emails here as you'd like, just so that they receive those notifications as well. Event schedules. I had mentioned this in the reseller portal. So this is exactly that. You can create a schedule to where maybe you do or maybe you don't want to get alerts. So say maybe you have a dog walker and you want the front door camera here to send you alerts on, say, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You just want to make sure that that dog walker is actually walking those dogs. You get that little event notification when they're walking in and out of the front door, and you can rest assured that you're getting what you paid for. There is a limit now of 15 schedules for each account. That can be upgraded, but that will come at an additional cost as well. All right, so manage users. Again, the end users do have the ability to add their own guests, and it's just as simple as the reseller portion. Just input their email address, their name, and then select the actual camera groups that you would like to assign to them. In doing so, they'll show up here in the manage user portal. They'll have the ability to manage those as well if they want to remove them, or maybe if they want to add additional guests, they can do so as well. NAS devices, this is again just going to be the same as what we just saw on the reseller portion. They can set up their own local storage setup as well. Downloads is obviously going to be where we want to download those clips. So all of these clips that are going to be created, again, there's no limit to the amount of clips that you can create, but after 24 hours, they will be removed from the downloads pane here. Camera health check history. So again, users do have the ability to get notifications if a camera happens to go offline or maybe something happens to it, to where it's no longer connecting. Now, by enabling the alert status for the reseller, you're actually disabling the camera health check history and notifications for the end user. So it's going to kind of hide what's going on with the camera from the end user, but again, it's also going to forward a notification to the reseller. All right, so that's pretty much it. Let's take just a quick peek here at the mobile application, just to give you kind of a feel. Again, it's going to be darn near identical in terms of capability of what you can and can't do.
While you pull that up, Justin, a couple questions came in. What's the difference between generic and generic 2 on the devices?
Honestly, nothing. One's legacy, one's not. The generic 2 was specified more for like MJPEG cameras, which again, we're going to be removing here shortly.
Okay. And if they don't have a static IP, is there any issues with the options that it's not plug and play?
Yes, potentially. So typically, if you don't have a static IP address, you're always going to run into that issue if something happens to that router, right? If it happens to reset, or for whatever reason it dies, you're going to lose those settings. So I would always suggest at least maybe a DDNS address that's set up, which you can do for free. There's services out there that offer it for free. One workaround for it that I don't typically mention, but I'll mention now just for the sake. We do also work with Thunder NSI, and what they provide is basically a gateway portal that creates its own encrypted connection to Cam Command, or is capable of doing so. So what essentially that's doing is giving you the ability to plug your camera that may have had to been port forwarded into that gateway. That gateway is going to handle the connection and essentially make it plug and play here on the network. That does come at an additional cost. I think even the 8-port is around $100 to $150, depending on where you get it from, as well as there is basically a registration fee for each individual port. So each camera that you connect could come with an additional monthly cost. So it is a workaround, but it could be a potentially costly one. That's why I always suggest, if and when you can, just go ahead and use a plug and play device. It makes life a lot simpler.
No worries. And then one last question, can we add any system For example, we are partnered with a wiring and security camera installer. They use Hikvision. Can they install the system and connect to our system?
Now, if I'm understanding this correctly, it sounds like maybe they're using NVRs or maybe a VMS. So if that's the case, we cannot connect directly to an NVR. So if you wanted to have a redundant solution to where you had like a local storage, NVR, DVR, or well, not a DVR even, you'd have to use encoders, but whether it's an NVR or a VMS system, you'd actually have to separate the cameras from the NVR. So you'd essentially have to have a separate PoE switch, connect the cameras into the PoE switch, and then connect the NVR into that PoE switch as well so that it can access those cameras. And once you do so, you can actually, yes, at that point, start to connect those cameras to Cam Command as well.
Okay. Are we able to tap into any NVRs?
No, not at this time. And I don't believe there's any plan to have that type of functionality. It's going to have to be separate from the device itself.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Was that it?
That's it for questions so far.
Okay, cool. So just in brief, again, there's truly not much difference between the two applications. What you're looking at here now is going to be just the mobile app. It's downloadable from an iOS or Android application store, totally free, no extra cost for that. What they'll use is essentially the same credentials as the web interface, and they'll get what you see here. So they're going to have that same ability to, again, change the panes around based on what is important to them or what they prefer to see. They can move them around if they want to change the order and whatnot as well. And again, this is going to be somewhat redundant, but I will go through it. One cool little feature that we have here, let's go back. So again, they can have the ability to add a camera and as well as see the event history. So the event history is just that. It's just going to be an overlay. Let's see. Kevin made me turn off the notifications. Okay, but down here, you can kind of see the little blue markings. That's essentially just saying, hey, within this period of time that I've set, here's these events that occurred, just to give you kind of a quick viz on, hey, something happened here. What the heck? I missed the notification. Let's just go into that camera and take a look. So once you're into the actual camera itself, you have the ability to, again, scroll through or scrub through your actual recording, as well as jog through any events that might have been marked on your timeline using the back and forward buttons, as well as if you know exactly when something happened or around when, you can also use the calendar feature too. Again, all of the same filtering that you had available within the web application, again, whether that's going to be analytic filters or actual camera settings themselves, you have access to all of that here directly within the application. Now, one really cool thing that I will mention with Hanwha only at this point in time is the bulk edition. So within the mobile application, say you have a large install at a business. You've installed your 10 cameras, 20 cameras, and rather than go through and install each of them, although it's still plug and play, it might be quick by inputting the serial number for each, they do offer a bulk edition to where essentially you would just open up your own mobile device, whether it's going to be a phone or a tablet, log into that client's Cam Command account, and then go to the add camera portion, select Hanwha, and it's going to give you this option to scan the network for compatible cameras. Really cool feature, because what this is going to do is not only upgrade all the firmware on the cameras in one fell swoop, it's also going to add them all to the Cam Command platform as well. So a really cool feature, again, only available with the Hanwha Techwin devices. I definitely suggest it if you have a very large install. It makes things a lot easier. So besides the basics here, you'll have just, again, all of your basic profile information here. One thing that is cool that we can check out too is that not only does the web interface have this, yep, I'm fat fingering it here. There we go. So with the mobile application, you do have the ability to control PTZ cameras as long as they're plug and play. So again, if you port forward a camera, unfortunately the PTZ functionality is not going to be there. But if you do have, say, a Hanwha device, which we're looking at here now, simply just hit the little lock button icon down there at the bottom. And at that point, you can just use your finger to can actually control. Oh, this isn't the P. Is that the P? Are you screwing with it, Kevin?
I was earlier.
No worries, no worries. So it's a little slow, but once you lock that little icon there, you do have the ability to control the PTZ functionality of a plug and play device. And that's basically it. Again, the mobile application is going to be fully brandable. You'll be able to select the colors that you like, as well as input your logo there for the bottom. Anytime that a client wants to add a camera and maybe they're, they don't actually have the amount of seats that they need for it, if they click add a camera, it'll actually just send you an email so that you can go ahead and add that additional seat for them. All right. And that's pretty much it. If there's any further questions, again, hit up that Q&A portion of the chat window, and I'd be happy to answer them. That's all I got, Kevin.
Perfect. Thanks, Justin. All right, if you want to flip back off to the presentation.
Yep.
So what we're going to be doing here for this is, I'm seeing the bulk of you guys already have the Cam Command MSA part of it in your rider already, so we don't have to add it. If you have not activated your demo account with us yet, please do so. Reach out to me or reach out to Justin, and we'll get your, it's a 5-camera system, Justin, sorry?
Yep, 5 seats, okay. 5 free seats of the 7-day, yep.
Perfect. So yeah, so reach out to us. We'll make sure you get that set up. Justin will train you through everything, and off to the races. Just pricing for 4-hour storage, right, and 2 hours of viewing, which is kind of more of a demo play with it kind of feel, is 99 cents per camera per month. On a 7-day storage is typically what most people will do. We're looking at $592 and 14, all the pricing's there. There's a one-time activation fee of 99 cents. These are, again, are all in US dollar pricing. Just keep that in mind. We are going to be fixing everything in Canadian dollars very, very shortly. Just waiting a couple things to happen. If you want to flip off to the next slide there, Justin, please. So again, 5-day demo license seat with 7-day storage if you don't already have it. We're doing a little bit of a promotion. So any cameras you add to the platform today, as long as they're on for 3 billing cycles, 90 days, we're going to issue a 1 bill cycle 30-day credit for any new cameras that you bring on. If you don't have it yet, your Cam Command rider, the NRCs are waived, and with that MSA, you're looking at a $29.99 a month MMC, minimum commitment, with 6 months ramp. So we're giving you lots of time to get there, and sell a few cameras. You're already there. Any other questions? I don't see anything popping up. Give you guys a couple minutes just to type it and fire away. Again, our contact details, you can find us, Justin, myself, and Dominique. Great resources. We're here to help. But beyond that, thank you everyone for joining, and looking forward to working with each and every one of you. Thank you, and have a great day.